Roddenberry had the same original idea for Spock and Worf in Star Trek. Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry had the same original plan for the characters of Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, in Star Trek, the original series, and Lt. Worf, Michael Dorn, in Star Trek, The Next Generation. A science fiction fan himself, Roddenberry created Star Trek based on the idea of a starship exploring the galaxy. This simple premise spawned a pop culture phenomenon and a multi-million-dollar franchise that continues to produce new material 60 years later. TOS introduced the world to the USS Enterprise and its intrepid crew led by Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner. Though it may be difficult to imagine now, Star Trek faced difficulties even before it went into production, as studios in the 1960s were reluctant to commit to its premise. Still, Star Trek became popular enough to get 3 seasons before being canceled, and then became even more popular thanks to reruns in the 1970s. This led to several feature films with Captain Kirk and his crew, and a spin-off series set a century later with all new characters. Although many fans of TOS were dubious about a Star Trek without Kirk and Spock, Star Trek: The Next Generation went on to become incredibly popular with fans both new and old. Roddenberry originally saw Spock and Worf the same way when their Star Trek shows began. In the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage, Spock was a very different character, showing far more emotion than he would in later appearances. Majel Barrett's number 1 actually possessed the logical and unemotional personality that would come to be associated with Spock. Not only that, but Spock was initially a much less significant character meant to remind audiences that Star Trek was set in the future. He looked obviously alien, but NBC wanted to downplay Spock's alienness and wanted him to solely be a background character. As Spock became more popular with audiences, however, they quickly changed their mind, so much so that they requested Roddenberry include more of Spock. While the Klingons served as antagonists in Star Trek, the original series, they had achieved a precarious peace with the United Federation of Planets by the time of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Michael Dorn's Klingon, Lt. Worf, became the token alien among the crew of the USS Enterprise D. Like Spock, Worf was not originally meant to be a main character, but was intended to remind the audience of the peace between the Klingons and the Federation.